Gen Z are drinking less. A statement which might sound like a good thing on the surface at face value, but may link and point to something more deep and more shifting within Gen Z. Recent studies suggest that Gen Z are drinking less alcohol. People aged between 18 and 24 drink 20% less than their millennial counterparts. 13% abstain completely. This may look like a good thing, but as I said earlier, it may point to something more cultural. Lifestyles are changing. Habits are changing. Let's get this straight. Alcohol is horrible for your health. It's one of the single worst things you can do for your body, okay? Your body has to metabolize it. Your liver has to go through this whole process to make sure that you're free of the alcohol. Because at the end of the day, alcohol is toxic. That's why it has to be metabolized. Because if it just stayed in your body, you'd die. But what does alcohol do which can be perceived as benefits? Bearing in mind, these are temporary. They reduce inhibitions, increases self-disclosure and social bonding, and enhances social interactions. In fact, university students reported that alcohol was perceived by the group to hasten social connections effectively, reduce anxiety, and support successful transitions into fostering new social connections. Non-drinkers, conversely, said this was harder without alcohol. Now, once again, I'll give my anecdotal take on this. I've met one person out of the many I've met at university who said in the past he really had a bad outlook on drinking. And to be honest, if you go to university, 90% of the people who go out drink. Now, not everyone goes out. There's international students and there's people who just don't like going out. Let's say 50% of all uni students don't go out. The other 50% do go out. Of those 50%, 90% drink. And the reason that proportion is so high is because it's a cultural thing. If you're sat around a group with other people and you're sat at a bar or something like that, it's a very weird and sometimes maybe even awkward situation where everyone's drinking but you. And especially in this modern day where people have become less social and more in their head, people leverage alcohol more. Because at the end of the day, alcohol releases your inhibitions. It makes you act how you'd act if you had no sense of control, no sense of overall idea of consequence. I watched this clip a few months ago. I think it was Jordan Peterson. And he was talking about and comparing two people. The person who has worse health because he's a moderate drinker, but he has great social connections, with someone the same age, but he's more healthier. He doesn't drink, but his mental health isn't even comparable to person number one. Let's call this person Phil and this person Matt. Phil's mental health is orders of magnitude better than Matt's. Why? Because Phil, with or without alcohol, we don't know, it probably helped, has fostered connections with friends and with partners. Whereas Matt, who sits on his computer chair most of the day playing video games, yes, is more healthy physically, but his mental health has atrophied so much in comparison that if we were to take the sum of both physical and mental health of both Phil and Matt, Phil would always come out on top. He would have the objectively better life. Humans are social animals. Psychopaths, the most antisocial people in the world, are still punished with solitary confinement. Okay? Humans are social animals. You will always live an objectively better life with more breadth of connection and more depth of connection with whoever that is, your family, friends, random people, who knows. So going back to that first statistic, if Gen Z are said to be drinking less, and we follow that same analogy, is it not a symptom of Gen Z's worsening mental health due to changing lifestyle and habits? Because let's say Gen Z play more video games than millennials, Gen Y. If that's the case, people don't drink when they play video games. In fact, if you drink when you play video games often, you probably have a problem. I'm not trying to be condescending. If you genuinely do that, you should probably speak to someone about that. But if you're drinking out with people, then that's perceived as a normal thing, even a good thing by some people. And it follows the same trend. Anyone who drinks by themselves, anyone who does any drug by themselves, it's seen as a problem, as an addiction. But if you're in a social setting, it's seen as much more normal. Because for a lot of people, alcohol is a tool. And in my opinion, that's the best relationship to have with alcohol. If you're using it as a tool to let your inhibitions out further and to lean into a character which is more outgoing, alcohol will assist you in doing that. And this isn't a video giving you permission to binge drink and to deteriorate your health. But what I'm saying is, having a healthy relationship with alcohol compared to not drinking alcohol at all will more often than not result in a more fulfilling life than the person who doesn't drink any alcohol. Because we look at the trends, we see Gen Z are drinking less, and we clap our hands, we go, yes, Gen Z are becoming healthier. They're proactively going out of their way to be healthier. And in some respects they are. I've seen the health space on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It exists. People want to get more healthy. But that's not the entire story. There's a significant proportion of people who don't drink alcohol simply because alcohol is a social drug. And if you're not social, you're not going to drink. So if you're not drinking, you're not social, and you're going to have an objectively worse life than you could have done if you were having a better life because you were more social and you drank because you were more social. Just concluding here as well, I have noticed that people do use alcohol as a tool at university because a lot of people come from their school, their neighborhood, their circle of friends, their hometown, and they want to reinvent themselves, and who can blame them? In fact, fuck it, I was probably even one of them. But alcohol is used by a tool by so many people, and if you yourself are struggling a little bit with showing people your true character, who you really are, I know you're not that nonchalant, bro. If you're struggling with trying to show people who you really are, just lightly try it. And of course, if you have an addiction, if you feel like you drink too much, please seek help. Thank you for watching. I hope you understood my message in this video. Please let me know if you did understand it and if you can maybe build on that and see if you can find any way of maybe increasing sociability without the health detriment of alcohol consumption. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.